Hey there, and welcome back to the Virtual Cafe for another coffee convo about business finances. I'm your host, Kerry Zarb, and I am joined by Kim White. We invite you to join us at our table with your favourite brew. Let's pull up our chairs and get into today's episode. Come on, let's go. It's coffee time. Hey, Kim.
Hey, Kerry.
What's happening?
So, Kerry, I think I messed up when I ordered my coffee.
Oh, do we need to start again?
So, what happened was when I ordered my coffee, I tried something new, and I'm not sure that I ordered the right thing, Kerry.
Well, that's okay.
Well, but what if I got it wrong, Kerry?
Well, sometimes that happens, and if we really don't like it, there is the option to order another one.
Oh, okay. So, I will drink this one and see if I like it then.
Okay, and then maybe we redo it and start again so we get it right.
That sounds really good, Kerry. For a minute, I felt like my whole day might be ruined.
Oh, not at all, Kim. No. I love the way that you've started this conversation because we are talking about what if I make a mistake with my business finances? What happens? What happens when we make a mistake? Well, let me start off by saying I've made some beauties, like absolute pearlers of mistakes when it comes to finances. And can I say, Kim, for the record, not just my own mistakes. I've made mistakes with client finances in the multiples.
Did you hear the gasp in the world, Kerry? You made a mistake. We can't believe it.
Well, Kim, I think we just need to, continue this wave of humanness that we've brought out in the podcast because guess what? I've made mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. And there's just no two ways about it. I think if everyone was perfect and no one ever made a boo-boo, well, actually, that just doesn't even happen. It's not even a thing, right?
No. And if somebody tells you that they don't carry, I think that they're not being very human and they're not telling very much truth.
Exactly. I agree. So, Kim, going back to the redo, when we make a mistake with our business finances, and again, I'm going to say it's going to happen. If it hasn't happened, or even if it already has happened, it'll happen again. It's not the end of the world. It's not a moment in time that, and I want to say this, I know I'm going to say it the wrong way, so just take what I say very lightly. I'm going to have to edit this because I just lost it. I got so consumed with how I was going to say that then I lost what I was going to say. No, I've lost it.
But I love how careful you're being with what you're going to say to me, Kerry, to make sure that you don't, put more feelings on me. I love that you are helping me through this because it really is that feeling of, did I order the wrong coffee? Did I do the wrong spreadsheet? Did I write the numbers down wrong? What if I do that? There's so many feels going on in there.
Well, Kim, let me go back in time a little bit and share with you one of the mistakes that I made. It added an extra zero to something that it shouldn't have, and it was in the form of a payment to another party of not my money, and it was one of those circumstances where you press the button and it is done. And there's not that moment of, you don't get all the, are you sure? Do you want to proceed? Would you like to cancel? Abort mission now? Like, you don't get all of those steps in this process that I was doing at the time. I went white, Kim. I felt the blood leave my body completely in an absolute almighty gulp of a moment. I remember freezing on the spot as all of that blood left my body, and I just immediately went, you know what? I've just got to own it. This is what I've done. And I marched across the way and went and saw the client and said, this is what happened. I think they saw the whiteness across me at the time. They made a joke out of it, would you believe? Very circumstantial, and I don't want to share all the finer details because I do like to keep things very confidential in my world. However, like for me, I thought that was it. That was the end of the road. Like, I put an extra zero, and you can imagine what that meant in the zeros land.
Oh.
And Yes, it was definitely one of those moments of you just got to say what it is and what you've done and just be honest in that moment. Now, obviously speaking to the audience that we have, most of them may be just working on their own numbers and in their own business, but I just really want to tell you guys how real it is to make a mistake and how human it is and how it's okay.
Can I give you a stat, Kerry, for what you're saying?
Sure.
So I think you're living proof and I'm living proof that there's a 100% survival rate.
Yes.
I think that that's something that we need to remember is you owned up to that immediately, not knowing what the client would say, not knowing what would happen, fearing the worst, and yet that turned into a joke. And that's not always going to happen, but it turned into a joke because you were so honest and upfront about it. And I feel like that's a lesson in itself for all of us to take away, is that realizing we're going to make a mistake, when we make the mistake, being honest about it. I feel like that takes so much pressure off, Kerry, of us trying to feel like we have to be perfect.
I think so too, Kim, and at the same time it was a good lesson for me because I'm one of those humans that, based on all of the mistakes that I've ever made, I try to take a piece of learning out of each of those. In that circumstance, it was please check all your zeros before you press buttons, but that also resulted in checking all of the digits before I press buttons. Be absolutely confident 100% that you're not accidentally making an error. And it's not to say that I haven't done that mistake again, thankfully, but I'm very careful about all of the digits from that one situation. Having said that though, it's so easy to put the wrong digit in the wrong place or make the wrong calculation or look at something in front of you when you're trying to work on your business finances, and just data entry errors happen on a regular basis. So I don't want anyone to beat themselves up about that when that happens, and take the learning from it if we've made a mistake. And know that it's going to be okay, and you can learn from it if you make a mistake. Kim, do you need another coffee?
I do, Kerry.
Okay, why don't we just take a quick break, rest our voices, grab that other cup, and we'll be right back.
See you in a minute.
Do you find your finances confusing or overwhelming? Well, guess what? You're not alone. I'm Kerry Zarb and I am your financial designer. It's time to take away those sleepless nights, all the stress and pressure we feel from those flippin' digits. Finances can be hard. This is why your seat at my virtual cafe is reserved in the Biz Beans Club. Our gatherings are held on the third Monday of each month at 6 p.m. Central Time, and I'd love you to join us to ask questions, gain access to resources so that you can get in control of your business finances. This is where coffee meets money. Are you ready? What are you waiting for? It's time for you to be in the driver's seat of your finances. All you need to do is click the link in the show notes of this episode to join us in the Biz Beans Club.
Kerry, I think one of the things you just said that was a big deal to me is that it's not hopeless. It's not something that when I make a mistake, it's not the end of the financial world for me. It's own it, learn from it. Like, I feel like you just said the things I needed to hear. I mess up all the time, and I try to have those, like you were talking about, the things that ask you, are you sure? I try really hard to have some of those set up so that I have that safety net of, but I also, Kerry, can I ask you this? Because I know whenever it comes to financial time, one of the mistakes that I have made, and I'm going to say repeatedly, is because I'm doing things too quickly. Like, I'm trying to do it when I'm distracted. I'm trying to do it in a hurry, doing it last minute for a deadline, and that never works for me.
Kim, I agree with that because it is in those moments when we're under pressure that we are more likely to make a mistake. So I do think sometimes we've got to recognise within ourselves that now's not the time to be playing with the digits in whatever capacity that is. And that comes back to our schedule. and looking at when we are going to play with the digits and what that's going to look like for us when we're not so under the pump and, looking to, do things in a rapid manner. But also I think it says to me that I just want to go back a step because, again, tying into the learning, we've got that opportunity to recover. So when we make a mistake, and I'm just going to say it again because I can't help myself, you will make a mistake if you haven't already, or you will again, because I know I have and I will again, recover from it. How can you fix it? Go into fix mode. Don't go into panic mode. And it's easy to say. It is easy for me to sit here and say that because in that moment I panicked 100%. But look to fix. Be the solution to the problem. Yes, you may have caused the problem, but you can fix it as well. It doesn't have to stay as this horrible dark feeling of regret and, I shouldn't have, and what if I hadn't have, and if I just had taken an extra moment, I wouldn't have. It doesn't have to be wrapped into this horrible kind of storm effect. It can actually be, okay, that happened. All right, how do I fix it?
Such a different attitude, Kerry. And I know I've had the first experience many times of panic. So I appreciate the fact that you're talking us through, that we can recover, we can do something, and we can be the solution. And Kerry, you're blowing my mind a little bit with the fact that you're saying that we can be our own financial designers, because that's very much different than what most of the world tells us. Most of the world tells us we need to, pay them to do all the things and not think for ourselves. And you're telling me today that I can think for myself and I'm going to be fine.
And Kim, I do want to press on that for a moment because I feel like there's almost a fallacy out there that if we don't, or if we fear we're going to make a mistake too much, that can lead us to go, okay, well, I'm just not even the person that should be doing this, therefore I have to pay someone else to do it. And yes, you may need that and may want that in your business. Maybe you don't want to do the numbers in your business, and that's fine. But I do want to encourage everyone to have a base understanding of the finances so that when you do outsource it to someone else, then you know what's going on. You've got a little finger on the pulse and a little bit of an understanding behind you, so you know when you're paying someone to do that they're actually giving you the results that you need, not just you fobbing it off to someone because you don't want to know about it, because I feel like that's a little bit dangerous space to be in. And I also feel like the financial industry globally is kind of leading us in the other direction. A lot of places out there are saying you need a financial advisor, you need an accountant, you need a bookkeeper, you need this, you need that. Like there's all these extra people that you need in your small business for your finances when you can do it yourself. You can 100% do it yourself. I encourage people to do it themselves and also know that you need an accountant. Always we need an accountant. I'm not a big believer in all the other people that people speak of. You need this, this, this and this, when you can do the majority yourself. If you choose to outsource the bookkeeping, by all means, definitely have a good accountant in your corner and look to become your own financial designer, because I think that's very possible.
Well, and Kerry, I want to say for the record, because we've had this conversation before, it's not that no one should have a financial advisor. It's not that no one should have all of these other pieces. It's that when you're starting out, if you're paying out all the money that you're making, you're not going to be able to stay in business. And there are times and seasons for moving over into those other things. And I love that you tell us to be, aware, to learn the basics so that we can pay attention and we can know these things. And Kerry, I have to tell you, I think this adventure I went on this morning with my coffee, I think I need another one. I think it turned out really well.
Well, there you go, Kim. And you never know. Like sometimes this is the other thing that happens when we fear making a mistake. You could walk into a cafe and see something on the menu that you haven't tried before. Similar to the business finances, maybe you're just like, not sure about that. Give it a go. Actually give it a go. you need to find out how many of us have only ever had one kind of coffee. I've had way more than one kind of coffee, Kim. Like, I can't even count how many different coffees I've had in my lifetime. And I'm sure there's more to come. If I walk into a cafe next week and I see something else on the menu, I might give that a go. But I think it's about exploring, not fearing. If we all walked into every place on the planet and didn't try something new, well, that's just not even a thing, Kim. It's like going to a restaurant and always buying the same meal. That doesn't really happen either, does it?
No, but we do have our favorites, Kerry. Maybe that's the lesson.
I agree, Kim. Definitely got the favourites, and I do tend to stay in my little favourite corner from time to time, and that might be a skinny latte, just saying. But sometimes it's nice to step outside our comfort zone, and sometimes we can do it without fear of it being a disaster.
Well, turned out really well with you today, Kerry. Just saying.
Yay, love it. Well, Kim, we're going to head out of here. Thank you for being with me in the virtual cafe.
Oh, thank you, Kerry.
You're welcome. I will see you next week. Thanks for joining us in the virtual cafe. You can follow the show to be notified of future episodes, and if you're enjoying this podcast, we encourage you to leave a rating or personal review. Until next time, happy Biz Beans to you. No beans were harmed during the production of this podcast. Information contained in this podcast should be taken as general advice only, and your personal circumstances have not been taken into account. It is recommended that you seek financial advice from a professional who is licensed to do so. If you choose to act upon the general advice shared, you do so at your own risk.